Hey, all you holistic hipsters out there, it's that time. So grab your chalice of choice and sit back and sip along with us. We would love to welcome you to the Tea Podcast, where we spill the tea on all things holistic in the pet grooming industry. Let me introduce you to our hostesses with the mostesses.
She is the socialite of skin and coat care, Ms. Michelle Knowles.
And the queen bee of all things oily, Ms. Melissa Conti-Diener. Brought to you by theoilygroomer.com. Are you searching for a new and more mindful way of grooming? Interested in understanding how to grow your grooming business with a more holistic and organic approach? Please contact Melissa Conti-Diener at theoilygroomer.com so that you can set up a meeting and bring balance and prosperity to your life. And allthingspaw.com. Intermediate and advanced courses in pet esthetician work, fear recovery, animal handling, and more. Get your learn on with All Things Paw. Also, classes with Melissa, online and self-guided, intuitive energy work, transitional therapy, and compassionate touchpoint therapy, and more. And the Herbal Paw Pet Apothecary, tailored for the individual pet, phone consultations, history gathering, and the home of the Herbal First Aid Kit.
Now, let's get this tea party started.
Alrighty then, I get to talk to you again, Melissa.
Yes! I love that little piano at the end of our...
I love it, yeah.
Yeah. Makes me happy. How are you this morning?
Still tired. Still, usual. I'm good.
Okay. I can't complain, but... I
really could complain.
Yeah. You and me both. You and me both, but we won't. So
exactly.
We are here. We woke up and we made it for another episode of the Tea Podcast. So we're batting 1,000 at this point. So
I think so. It's already a win.
That's right.
It's already
a win. Right.
Uh-huh.
So what's in your cup, Michelle?
Well, I'm continuing on. Same cup, same warm foundational tea blend that I love. The spicy, it's the wassail spices. And it's
Very
delicious
nice.
Still. I love, this is my most favorite. So I drink this probably the most unless I have something going on,
I'm doing a room temp in my Awala cup, my big ginormous cup. But it's jasmine and it's Turkish jasmine with it's Turkish rose with jasmine tea. That's what it is. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right.
That cup looks like a creamsicle of some sort.
It doesn't.
I like it. I like the softness of it. Yeah. Does it have that soft touch rubbery feel?
No, it's
plastic.
Metal.
It looks like metal. It's soft though. Yeah.
No. Everybody's on the big Stanley craze. It's even got like a cool.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's on the Stanley craze, but I liked this one. I love the colors of it. They opened that big giant Shields here. Have you been there yet?
No, I have not. Where's it at?
Oh my goodness. It's in Chandler, right in the same complex as the Chandler Mall. So in Chandler, Arizona. It is all things exercise, sports, camping, like outdoor lifestyle.
Like a big old Cabela's or whatever.
But it's so much more. There's literally a huge...
So like an IKEA Cabela's.
Yes. There's a ginormous Ferris wheel in the middle of it.
What?
Yes.
That seems excessive.
I love it. Excessive. So that's where I bought my cup. Of course,
Oh, I
they
see.
had every kind that they make out there.
Mm.
And I was able to make a decision on this Awala one. But it's great for my tea, and it's great for just water because it does keep things cool. And so I let this steep for a while. I opposite of you, you are not a huge fan of rose. I am a enormous fan of rose,
Mm-hmm.
and it just calms me. So that was my point with choosing that with sweet jasmine. Just something.
I don't hate rose. I like tea rose the best.
Right.
It's just got a more natural, true rose scent.
Right.
The absolutes are a little watered down for me, and then of course the synthetics. Forget it. They never match rose of any kind.
Well, it's one of the most expensive essential oils to produce because it takes hundreds and thousands of petals
to just make like a quarter of an ounce, right?
Tiny little bit.
Here's your 3 drops for $8,000.
So that's why there's other things like Damascus rose and tea rose, and there's some other ones that have that rosy fragrance, but they're not as strong as actual rose.
Yeah.
So, roses are one of my favorite flowers. I'm a huge fan of peonies, and dahlias are another. They're
nice for the scent.
Yeah, I absolutely love those. I love peonies. They're so hard to grow here. My roses grow beautiful. I have white roses. And I have one pink rose that actually turned pink, planted it about 5 years ago. It was always white roses. After last year's little frost and stuff,
it changed it.
Yep, came back. I cut it all the way down, came back because I use those my
the
rose
petals and whatnot.
Petals and everything, and came back and it bloomed pink.
Oh wow!
So I was like, okay, I'll take it. So, but yeah, those are some of my favorites. Although they're hard to grow. Peonies and dahlias and ranunculus are another one. You can get them as bulbs, but they're just really hard to grow out here. We're so dry and hot. Do you have a favorite floral?
No, I just know what I like, and then some things I don't like. So I can't say that I have a favorite. My favorite flavor is orange.
Okay.
And if it's just a tad on the tart side, that's even better. That's my favorite flavor, but sometimes that doesn't always translate into scent. Like when I made the dewdrops, I have an orange peel, which I really, really like, and it really does smell like orange peel. So it does have that like little bitter aftertaste, but it smells good. But I like that less than the actual orange flavor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just depends. I like a softer scent. I don't like to overwhelm my smell, and my nose. So I can't say that I have a favorite. I just have ones that I like more than others.
Yeah, citrus is usually uplifting. So it's a nice one. Like lemon, we always think clean. When you smell lemon, it just makes you think. At least it does for me. Makes me think.
And it brightens food too. If you just add a few drops of lemon, lemon juice went on the finish. Don't really cook it in there, but just a couple of drops before you serve. It will brighten a really savory dish that's maybe just a little too savory.
Right.
Just kind of brings it up, lights it up a little bit.
Yep. It also can take that gray color out of things, like when you cook spinach or that kind of stuff. At the very end, a little lemon in there, fresh lemon, not lemon juice in a bottle, but fresh lemon will like perk up color, all that. Even, did you know if you slice an apple and then put it in a container like to eat later, if you put a slice of lemon in there, it will stop it from browning.
Yeah, you can spritz the juice on there too.
Yeah.
Or sprinkle it in there and like swish it around or whatever.
Yeah. So lots.
And I know you guys are probably wondering, what are you guys talking about today?
Yeah.
So we're gearing up to actually talk about what we're going to talk about. So we're talking about scents and flavors and this, that, and the other. So what we're talking about today is how you deliver those in a system that suits the consumer. So we're going to talk about different packaging and different containers because once you understand that a stick deodorant, the ingredients can still be used in a salve or a spray or this or that. So, I mean, sometimes the foundation of herbal work is it doesn't matter how the herbs get on you or in you as long as they're there. So you literally can take the same formula and then modify it to go in any type of conditioner or any type of delivery, liquid, spray, cream, solid. It doesn't matter.
That's the same for aromatherapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't, we have, topical, and then you have nasal. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't always have to be applied directly to the skin. It can be aromatic. It is. I think that's why I enjoy aromatherapy so much.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we were talking about a savory dish, that's aromatherapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's that smell of those favorite, like for me, when I was saying favorite flowers, they ignite something in your limbic system to, bring you to a specific memory, or they just jolt you into a specific emotion even.
Mm-hmm.
So
even smelling a scent is making chemical changes in your brain.
Oh, definitely.
It literally is. It is said that the smell, your smell sense, has the longest memory attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Even people who have dementia or this, that, and the other, if they smell something from their childhood or whatever, it will bring back that memory even after many, many years of doing that. So,
absolutely, it is a leftover from our primitive days. With our,
I think it's an enhancement, ma'am.
I think it's an enhancement as well, but
yeah, it's how we were formed.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are bombarded. So
True.
we have very muddied palate, scent palette right now. Like you said, you like a citrus, but it has a little after bite to it. Well, when you smell things, it comes across your sinus, your palate, in the back of your throat. So sometimes, like when you get those artificial rose or whatever, you can taste it. It tastes like medicinal or
or just chemical or synthetic.
Synthetic. So understand that when you're breathing something in, it is going over your palate. You know, you are.
Well, you have taste buds.
Right.
If you would look at a tongue that had been dissected, if you will, to keep it clinical and not gross.
Yeah.
But if you would look at your tongue, a human tongue, all the way, the whole organ would be laid in front of you. You have to understand that your taste buds go all the way down to the base, not just in your mouth. So that's why your taste buds are an integral part of your scent mechanism. If you can't smell anything, you can't taste it either. For the most part, it would have to be really strong to get across any flavor, if you will.
Yeah.
So they are in tune, and we know for cats, if they can't smell their food and recognize it, they will starve, even though their food is sitting right in there.
Yep.
It's crazy, but that's how they're made. They're not being stubborn or finicky.
No.
They don't recognize it as food. And that's why when they eat, sometimes they'll eat like a little all the way down to the bottom in the middle and then act like there's no food in there because the concentration of smell in their food has diminished. And to them, it doesn't smell as strong. So there obviously isn't food in there. So that's something that I find very interesting. And I'm sure a little bit of that is attached to all of us who live on the land.
I'm sure. I know that with puppies, if they, before they're weaned, if they have a stuffy nose and they can't smell well enough because their eyes and ears are closed, they won't nurse. They won't be able to find their mother to nurse because they're drawn in to this from the smell. And she also puts off pheromones for them. And so they're unable to nurse. So scent is a huge, huge thing. even just personal scent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like people will say all the time, I don't care what you wash my dog in, but he smells like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's not supposed to smell like spring fresh air. You
Right.
know?
Or what is that? Fresh baby fragrance.
Yeah. You
I
know?
use that in my seminars. I'm like, what babies are they grinding up and putting in there? And
Yeah.
everybody knows that babies don't smell fresh, but
Yeah.
they are fragrant.
Yeah. I am one to
Absolutely.
sniff a baby.
So, how does this translate into delivery systems?
How are you delivering those things? You're using aromatherapy or you're using herbal therapies. Are topical therapies the only way you can deliver the benefits of those two different things, aromatherapy or, you know, even though mine is aroma, it is a scent, but it doesn't necessarily have to be delivered in just inhaling it.
Right. Yeah,
So
you can use it in your formulations. You can mix it with others. I think one thing I found in my journey of formulation is that you think, okay, yeah, I'm using comfrey and chamomile and this, that, and the other. Once you put them in a formulation, in this case, dewdrops, let's just use that as an example, they don't have a scent. So let's say you've infused comfrey and echinacea and something else that would be, very scented when you open the bag, basically.
right.
Once you process it and put it with the oils and the waxes and all the things, it literally doesn't smell anymore. And also, a lot of people think that formulations are scented with essential oils. No, it is a completely different thing when you're formulating a product. Essential oils aren't smelly enough to scent the wax and the oil and the preservative and all that other stuff. It's just, it doesn't even come across. So you have to basically get concentrated scent that smells so strong when you're making it just to get a light fragrance on the end product. So that's something that people don't really think about when they think about, oh no, I love the smell of this. It smells like lavender. You have to use a lot of lavender, either synthetic or natural, to get that smell to come through on your end product after you cook everything together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a weird thing to learn. I'm having a lot of fun exploring different things.
I make a lot of like salves or balms, which in my definition, to me, a salve is just a little looser than a balm. A balm is usually a little waxier, where a salve is just a little more jelly, like easy to just kind of get into, where a balm usually is a little bit more waxy.
And I've seen it both ways. They transpose those two things. They're so close. One's more easy, more malleable, more liquidy than the other, depending on who taught you or what literature you're looking at. But that's pretty interchangeable. But yeah, I agree. Have you found that same fragrance issue when you make your balms?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I'm working with, like, I make a sinus balm, and I call it the sinus BOMB balm, because it's going to just bomb all the nasties away. And so it's an alternative to the petroleum over-the-counter products that we reach for when we get a cold or sinuses, chest cold, all that stuff. So I literally make a poultice with a lot of different herbs, eucalyptus, lavender, peppermint, spearmint, and some others. I don't want to give away my recipe, but and then I add also essential oil to that, because I do want the oil, the healing power of the oil as well. And so I take those and I macerate them, and then I add the oil to them, and then I will add them to my balm, and I usually have to go in and either use the more of the eucalyptus if I want that real, because I don't use camphor, although there's nothing really wrong with camphor. I just don't particularly care for camphor. So it's really
You can
strong.
use menthol
Menthol,
crystals
right.
too.
And that's what I was going to say. I don't like camphor very much. It's so overwhelming to me personally. So I'll usually have to either up my essential oil of the eucalyptus essential oil, or get something like, the menthol crystals, or the drops of the menthol, and add that to it so that it packs a punch. Otherwise, if I don't, it even though the herbs will work and the oils will work on you, we want that to be an inhalant as well. That when you open that, you smell it and oh, that's what this is, but again, there's 2 delivery methods in one tin. You can apply it topically, or you can just inhale it, or you can just set it out and the fumes from it, you
let
can
it breathe in the air.
Right. So that's aromatic. And then we have topical, and then we have what's the other one I just said? Where you can just kind of breathe it in through the, like you said, just let it breathe into the air. So people do that a lot, and they don't realize the power when they are diffusing things. Like you even were talking about.
Let's talk about that. Tell us about that. Yes, that's important, because they don't understand why their nose is stuffy all the time, and they have, respiratory symptoms. But then they'll go, you know what? I'm going to go diffuse some more.
Right.
So explain about the concentration of these oils.
It's highly concentrated. So what happens is we actually, to coin a term from marketing, go nose blind after a while. So we don't smell it. If we diffuse a respiratory blend, because you can purchase pre-made respiratory blends from many, many different companies out there that have essential oils. So say, okay, I'm feeling under the weather, feel like I'm getting a chest cold, or I'm getting a sinus issue, whatever. So now I'm going to start diffusing, and I'm going to diffuse this every day for hours upon hours, and just let that diffuser run. Most diffusers have timers. Some of them you can set for an 8-hour timer. In my personal opinion, as an aromatherapist, I don't know any possible reason you would need to diffuse for 8 hours, besides the essential oil company wanting you to use up your oils quicker so that they can sell you more. So a little goes a long way. Your body is detecting that. And what happens is, when we go nose blind, is your limbic system, which is what takes that up into your brain, and any essential oil can pass through the blood-brain barrier within a matter of seconds. So when we breathe that in, instantly our brain is...
It's in there.
Oh, yeah, it's in there. And our brain is saying, now what am I doing with this? Where am I assigning this? Okay. So when we diffuse for hours and hours, our brain just goes, too much, done, stop. I can't, the body can't do anything more with this. So we're not even going to acknowledge it. It is the equivalent of your brain being like, talk to the hand, that it literally has a big giant stop sign up.
So in essence, when we can't smell it anymore, the answer would be to shut the diffuser down and not redo it, and then put it on for another 8 hours is what I'm getting from you right now, right?
Absolutely. Diffuse in small, short bursts. So if you diffuse for 30 minutes, or if you are diffusing something for your home, like to clean the air or whatever, then diffuse for about an hour and then leave it. That's it. You don't need to diffuse all day long. If you are, I met someone at one of my classes a few years back that had a fairly large salon, and they had 4 diffusers running all day long. I mean, just all day. diffusers in the drying rooms, diffusers in the bathing rooms, diffuser where they're grooming at, diffusers in the lobby where they come in at. So we talked about that. Our sense of smell is, compromised because we're bombarded by scent constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But when we think about the animal sense of smell,
yeah, overwhelming,
completely overwhelming.
mm-hmm.
That
I think too that we forget that essential oils, herbs are medicine. They have constituents in there to actually change the chemical makeup in your body. Yes. So we're giving ourselves medicine and we're doing it overboard, just like the old adage, vitamin A is good for you. But if you take a whole bottle of it, you're going to end up in the hospital.
Right.
Trace amounts, small amounts at a time. So it's just not the smell that you're smelling. You're actually letting those chemicals enter your body and make chemical changes.
Right. And there are ways to do things like you don't have to diffuse all the time. If you want to refresh the smell, you had a dog that had an accident, and it's smelly, whatever, you can make a blend and put that in a spray bottle with witch hazel or alcohol, and
what would be the ratio for you?
For me, I usually do, if I'm doing an 8-ounce bottle, tend to use a glass bottle. If you use plastic, just know that it'll eventually eat a hole in it. It'll eat through.
They're volatile. Oils are volatile.
Yeah, very volatile. So for me, for an 8-ounce bottle, I'm going to probably use 7 ounces of whatever my carrier is, whether it's alcohol or if it's witch hazel. I prefer witch hazel. It doesn't have that alcohol-y smell. Mm-hmm. But depending on the oils I'm using, like if I'm using rosemary and those kind of ones that are really high in phenols, mm-hmm. they kill off the alcohol smell,
mm-hmm. Because they're already super strong. You don't need that much as you would if you wanted a neroli or something gentle.
Right, or something a little bit more light. Mm-hmm. Then I would go with the witch hazel. Mm-hmm. But now I start my day every morning. You guys know I work at a school. And so it's a very large salon. We have a lot of people. And so as soon as I come in to work, I have my spray bottle. I literally have a sticker on it. I change up what I'm spraying, but it literally says smell good stuff. So they know it's my oils. Mm-hmm. And I start my day by misting the classroom. And then I turn the fans on in the classroom, the oscillating mm-hmm. fans. And then I walk through the hallway where the bathing room is and the drying rooms. And I just quickly give a light mist. And I always ask, is it okay mm-hmm. if I do my oils, or anybody here that feels like it might bother them, or do you want to smell mm-hmm. it before I spray it? I always want to be just aware that not everybody likes it. And everybody has a different palate to what smells good to them. But I do that to clean the air. And also because we talked about this before, they have a vibrational resonance. They actually have a frequency. So I can also affect the frequency. Like sometimes I'll come in, I'll be like, I don't know what was happening here this weekend, but man, it's heavy in here.
Mm-hmm. This house is clean.
Like that is the truth. I walk through and they all know it. They all know that I do it, and I love when people come in, clients come in, the other people that work there, and they come in, they're like, oh my gosh, it smells so good in here. Does that last all day long? No. So
but it's still there.
Exactly.
In the air, everyone, it's still there.
So it is an easy, simple way to just change the energy in a room, pick up, like we experienced a lot of cold and flu stuff a few months ago. Everybody was getting sick. So I made up a, blend that's very close to what my sinus balm is mm-hmm. and use that as a spritz. Or an air freshener. I just am not a fan of fragrance oils. They usually contain bronchial dilators, which make your the bronchioles in your lungs dilate or even contract to get smaller. They make you cough, they make you sneeze. And that's what I was getting to, was that when we do too much, watch the dogs. You'll start seeing and they shake their head.
And they'll try to get away from where the source of it.
They might drool. It becomes very abrasive to them. So we have to, really, really be aware. And if you work with felines in the same space, you have to be hyper aware of what you're doing, because they are just beyond sensitive creatures.
Well, and to give some context onto it, imagine a dog picking up a week-old scent of someone who may have tread there one time.
Right.
That's how sensitive they are. So if you spray, literally, if you spray every day, it's there and it's inundating to them unless you have your dilution rates properly measured, because, man, it doesn't go away for them. They'll come in the next time and the next time and the next time. And unless you got a really deep cleaning crew, you're layering that on to the last scent, And then to them, I'm sure it's very overpowering.
Yeah.
And they don't know any different. They can't get away. They just do what we want them to. They walk in or be carried in or whatever. And then they're in that space that they can't get away from. So.
And that's what the diffuser does. Is it sprays those little microscopic
particles.
Good word. Particles that it literally is. This is the microscopic water particle, and here is the oil microscopic particle sitting on top of that. So this water is just a delivery method. You know what I mean? It's the carrier method. So it sits on top of that, and it comes out of that diffuser and goes everywhere. And what happens when water droplets fall, because even though they're microscopic, they're still going to land. And so when that lands, the water dissipates out and will evaporate, but the oil will not.
It's still there.
It's
still there.
Oil is there and available for its therapeutic purposes. It's ready to work. So the water is basically like taking the train in, to work.
Well, I think it's something to help dilute it as it gets nano sprayed into the air, because oils and water don't mix. But if you have a little 2-ounce sprayer or whatever, and you shake it up, it becomes little tiny, tiny, tiny bubbles of oil suspended in water for a few minutes. And that water helps just spray it out in a small way. Otherwise, you just get
propellant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, but you need to understand that you are layering it. And if you have a trained palate, and there are people that do perfume, in France, they're, what are they called? Perfumiers, I think and so they literally smell things all day to create scents, perfumes. And when you study aromatherapy, you learn that even one scent, like a rose, has layers and has notes and different types of soil they're grown in, different regions. There's so much to it. It's the same when you're preparing herbs.
And fun fact, those people don't wear any perfume at all.
Yes.
Because they have to keep their scent glands pure. A lot of them wear masks when they go outside, because people overdo it with scents already. And that's a whole nother topic for a different day, isn't it? That's a whole nother show just about the wearing of scent.
So it is a very volatile substance, essential oils, but it is also a very therapeutic one when used appropriately. And appropriately doesn't mean that you have to have 27 different aromas going off in different rooms, and just one. Your AC unit will push it through, fans will pull it through. You're going to pull it through. You're going to touch things, you're going to walk. Sometimes I just spritz myself and I'm the diffuser.
Yeah,
So
all these are really good to keep in mind, which is why I always refer people who ask me about essential oils. I'm like, you know what? You need to get educated. You can't just start using them. I always recommend Melissa's class. She is a very good mentor for essential oil use. She's been using them in her practice for a really long time. And I'm not even comfortable using essential oils because I just haven't studied enough. I depend on others' expertise. That is a specialty branch of what we do. But yeah, I absolutely believe that it is valuable. It's a valuable modality, but you really do have to know what you're doing. You can't just get in there and get sloppy and just say, I'm going to add this, this, and this, and this, and not even be mindful of your carrier, be mindful of the concentration that you're using, where you're using it, who is going to be in the room that it's being used in. All those things are very important, and you have to know about all that stuff.
yeah, people can react very differently to different scents. I've had some of the groomers be like, I don't know what you used last time, but I felt like I got a headache. And I said, no problem. I won't use that one again. You know, it's important to communicate and let people know what you're using as well. If you're, using it in that kind of setting, because not everyone has the same palate. So, what are some different ways that when you're working with herbs that you can have different delivery methods?
Wow. I feel like herbs are really versatile because you can use them in any formulation. The best way for me to use herbs, you can use it in a tea. If you need instant kind of put it in the body, you can smell them. Put them in a little Mylar bag or a plastic baggie, and then just put your face right in there and breathe it in. But you're going to get a better delivery if you make a tea and you steam it into your lungs. That's a really good way. Even though the smell of it itself will help, but you can do that. You can put them in capsules, dry, and put them in there depending on what you're trying to fix, cure, or support. You can put it in a capsule. Some of them, like comfrey, marshmallow, plantain, and mullein, produce a mucus that you don't really want to put it in a capsule and bypass where you want the mucus to be, basically. So a little respiratory cough is going around now. And the best thing you can do for that is make a tea and breathe in the steam of comfrey, mullein, plantain, and what have you. That's the best way to help build that mucus back up when you have little dry spots in your throat and it makes you tickle and cough. You want to get that juiced up, basically. You want to get your mucuses flowing again because you have unprotected mucus membranes in your throat, which is you're dried up in there and you're kind of gummy. So you want to hydrate that as much as possible. When delivering to skin, the sky's the limit. You can put a liquid on it. You can make it into a lotion. You can make it into a salve or a balm. Make it into a solid. You can make it so it works with or without water. It just really depends on the part of the body that you want to service or support, and what the issue is to begin with. So herbs are very versatile too because they're very gentle. They have a gentle action that works very gently over a period of time. So it's not like Western medicine where, you take a pill and you feel good for 8 hours, then you have to take another pill. It's not like that. And a lot of people want to take it down to its basic parts. I get a lot of questions like, well, what's in the shampoo? Why is it growing hair back? Or, what cream are you using? It's not one thing. It's never one thing. Oh, sometimes it's one thing. If you have a headache, you can absolutely take willow and meadowsweet, and it will take the headache away. But in general, herbs work over a period of time, and they work with how healthy your immune system is. Your immune system, your gut health. Your gut health is important, but people forget. People want to just fix dogs through their gut health. Gut health is so important. Your skin is 20% of your immune system. So that is very tied to your gut. So you should be working on your gut and your skin to make sure everything is plump, hydrated, and fed, nourished, if you will. So it's not just one thing. You have to look at it holistically. you have to look at all the pieces and parts. Is that subject getting enough sleep? Is that subject, getting enough sunshine, exercise, good food, hugs? All those things matter to your health. And we forget that. And we're like, oh, I'm tired, but I'll power through and I'll just drink a Monster drink or whatever. Sorry, Monster. I just picked you randomly out of the ether. But you know what I mean? I'm not saying, it's horrible. It probably is horrible because it's chemicals. However, I'm not saying that, that's not the way to do it if you're working herbally or holistically.
Right.
You want to absolutely, because your body's seeking homeostasis for forever. And if you're constantly unbalancing it in some way or shape or form, it's going to start to break down. Then you're going to start to see issues, conditions, issues, problems are going to result from that. And then you're like, oh, what happened? I only had one, I only drink one a day, or I only eat that whatever once a day. Well, once a day is a lot over a period of time. So delivery methods of herbs, sky's the limit. However, you could do, what do you call them? Suppositories. You can make little melts and do suppositories. You can make them so they are sublingual and they melt on the roof of your mouth. Herbs are amazing. So it's not the herb itself, it's learning how to make those delivery systems for me. I'm trying to master all of the basic delivery systems so that I can take then my herb mixture and then put it into that delivery system according to the needs of who I'm making it for.
Right.
So that's the biggest.
It's also very individualized.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of times, it's the same mixture overall for a thing, but this person may have high blood pressure. This dog may have, diabetes. So sugary things aren't really good for it, except maybe topically. If they have infection, if they have open wounds or something like that. All those little things you have to take into consideration and remake your herbal formula so that you're not doing any harm and you're supporting all the systems that need support on that particular animal. So it's really fun. It's really complicated and it's very interesting for me. I'm having so much fun doing this.
I just want to say that a lot of people equate essential oils to florals. Mm-hmm. They always think that they're a floral, in which we do have something in aromatherapy called a floral water or a hydrosol or hydrolat, which means floral milk in French. But it's a misnomer because in order to create them, it is not just if it is a flowering plant or herb, it is not just that part that we use. We use sticks and stems and leaves and all of that to actually to create things like just frankincense. That's an actual resin. It's a sap that comes from the
it's tree blood.
Tree. And so they collect it, and there's different grades of it, depending on how old it is and how rich the sap is. Mm-hmm. And
the whiter it is, the more pure it is.
Right.
That's going to be your very expensive
frankincense.
Yeah.
So, it is not just, I say this constantly to people that want to learn about it, that it is not an air freshener.
Right.
It can be
all the things that I use in my herbal apothecary condensed correctly become the essential oils that Melissa uses.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. So it's not just, it smells good.
Yeah, exactly. So when I'm making those mixes, those blends to spray in the salon or to spray in my home or whatever, I'm specifically making something because I, as an empath, feel a certain way. Or I, as an empath, have picked up on a mood of, like the energy in a place. You know that when you walk in somewhere and you're like, ew,
you can walk in somewhere, and every single person on this planet has probably experienced that. You can walk into a new party or new group, a new social setting, and literally the hair on the back of your neck stands up and your back muscles feel funny. And you're like, oh, I probably don't belong here. Catch out, pay attention to that. Get out of there. It's not for you. You have to pay attention to that energy.
Yeah.
Literally read the room.
Yeah. And that's what that means, is to
Mhm.
like just pick up, like that again is something that goes back to our primal days
Mhm.
of when, we were foraging and hunting and out in nature and had to be able to read. There wasn't rooms, we had to read the landscape and know. So it's when we do things like sometimes in some of my classes I do for Mary Quendo, I will do some DIY. I've done quite a few DIY classes for her, and I might show my kitchen area, that kind of stuff. And I often will have herbs hanging in my kitchen or hanging from my cupboards. I mean, ultimately, I would love to have the cottage in the woods with everything hanging, but I hang what I can in.
I would live in the Baba Yaga hut.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right there with you. So, but I do that because they give off an aroma at first. And then while I'm not still picking up that aroma, like I grow rosemary in my garden year round. And I'll often, I keep rosemary by my garden gate as well. That's a superstition, but I have it there. And lavender as well. But those things continuously clean the air. They offer an antibacterial, antimicrobial assistance in, I call them air scrubbers. So if you grow them indoors and you have those plants, which I love plants, and right now I don't have any herbs, but I often will grow them inside and then transplant them out into my garden. So, those things have an effect on your overall life as well when you are interacting with them on a daily basis. So just like we say, it's not just a dog. It's not just a plant. It has a purpose and it's going to do its job no matter what. So when you stop smelling it, it doesn't mean to ply on more, or you've taken burdock and it hasn't, kicked in yet, or it hasn't. Know that it has to mesh up with your system. It has a route, it has a job. And so just like it takes us 2 hours to groom a dog or 45 minutes to groom, a small dog, whatever it is, those skills do not get applied immediately. And it's the same thing with the herbs and with the oils and even with just having the plants around you. So it is a process. Nature is not immediate.
Right. Yeah. Because nature assumes, I believe, that you're already at homeostasis.
Exactly.
Homeostasis. You know what I mean? I think nature does assume you're already there. So it's gently going to ramp you up or ramp you down in whatever area that it's working on. I believe it didn't plan for modern society when we are just inundated with medication and synthetics and wearing oil-based clothing and all kinds of stuff. I mean, the list is endless. So you have to really be mindful about the textiles that you put on your body, the products you put near your scalp, because your head is very absorbent. And that all translates to dogs. It all translates to dogs. Dogs are wearing parkas and booties and eating manufactured food. And we wonder why they get the same diseases that we have, because we're eating and living like that too. That's why you see all those. And then, well, we won't get into genetics and breeding and all that other stuff, because that's a whole different ball game. But look at us. We breed randomly. I have a friend and I adore her. She is allergic to her husband. To be put in a nice way.
From that at times.
But I don't mean personality wise. I mean chemically.
I know, right? Chemically.
Yeah, and but they have children also. So I believe, and they love each other, and that's fine and great. And we have modern medicine, and that helps her, whatever. However, the way we smell on a natural basis with no synthetic perfume or nothing sprayed on to mask our scent, that was the number one way that you could smell someone and know if you were chemically compatible with that mate.
Right.
And we have come so far from that that I think that there are a lot of people that don't understand why they're not compatible. Like, we're such great friends. Why aren't we working? It could very well be that you are not chemically compatible.
Yeah.
But we'll never find that out if we just continue to spray the expensive perfumes on and this, that, and the other. And, oh, I don't like my human scent. There's nothing wrong with your human scent. If it's stinky, that means you're probably unhealthy or your diet needs to be changed.
Right.
Because you should smell okay. You should smell okay with your natural scent.
Right.
So,
I mean, I'm of the mindset people do the same thing. Customers do the same thing with dogs. They choose a breed without understanding what they're choosing.
mm-hmm.
And so, talking about delivery methods, so then they get this dog, and the dog delivers an experience that they weren't game for. You know, they get a hunting breed, and then they're like, why does this dog never want to calm down? Or a herding breed, you know, why is my dog nipping at my kids and trying to round them up? Well, you bought a herding breed. That's what it's hardwired for. It's going to deliver what, you know. What
it will herd your whole family off a cliff.
Yeah. You know, so it's like, I mean, anything that you're going to do should come with some sort of research. That
brings up a really good point, Melissa. I think that, and not to knock breed preservation, I understand you have a love for these animals, but when you purchase a dog, when you choose a breed, that breed was meant for something. It was bred for something. It doesn't matter if you like the looks of it. I love the looks of an English bulldog, but I cannot participate in purchasing one or doing that unless they change the standard and give that dog more of a muzzle. I just can't even. And that's just the number one thing I have concerns about that particular breed. And not to pick on you English bulldog people. I understand you love. They are adorable.
They all come with something.
Yeah, they all come with something. So here we are preserving breeds that there's no longer in modern society for them to perform their task.
Right.
And that is heartbreaking. Another example of that would be in Jurassic Park. When they brought all these dinosaurs together and they had a whole scene of them going by them, and a lot of them were sick because the things that they used to do, eat, and be in nature no longer even exist. It's the same thing. That dinosaur is going to get sick and die because that one plant that was extinct was its food. You know what I mean? And all these breeds that were bred to do a job, those jobs don't exist anymore unless you actively take your truffle dog truffle hunting.
Right.
You know, you're going to have some issues. Yep. And yes, dogs are really adaptable, but think about what you're doing.
Well, think about personality versus behavior. You know,
function.
Their behavioral function.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what Jujubee is bred for. She is bred
to be a cuddle bug. Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm kind of torn between the backyard breeder mentality. Now, I have an issue with that, with just people that don't know anything about dogs whatsoever. And there's like, oh, yeah, we have a Chalopsawini, Husky, Pomsky, whatever. Yep. That's really crazy.
And we bred it with our neighbor's Labrador.
Exactly. or make a doodle out of it. You know, eventually I'm hoping that the doodle breeds will settle. But we are continuing. We made the purebreds. Every single purebred on the planet is basically, with a handful of exceptions, is basically a mutt from way back that has been bred into something and then has become stable in its breeding. In a nutshell, I'm not a breeder myself. I know you have little pups that you do, but Melissa knows all about dogs, and those dogs are pampered and cared for and healthy. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that because we've done that since air for the dogs to be our helpers or our companions or for whatever reason. But there's a reason we don't have Thessalonian war dogs. We no longer use them for that purpose. They're huge, like horses, or they were, and they're very aggressive. You know, only a handful of people could even handle them in a modern day. I'm certain there are those that we don't hear about because they're privately owned and privately bred or whatever. I'm certain that there's probably something out there like that. something scary. But we don't know about it because they just don't have a job anymore.
Right. And if there's, that's the thing, is that we start to see, that's where we come in as like specialists with things like herbs and essential oils. And because we start to see these specific breeds or even mixed breeds. They used to have a thing that was like, oh, well, if it's a mixed breed, they have mixed breed vigor and they have renewed because but anymore, that's not true.
Yeah, that's not true. If two people have a recessive gene for
Right.
a terrible disease, that's going to show up.
Right. So, and that's where we come in, because we're looked at as how can we help this? How can we use herbs or use oils, use scent, use these different modalities, whether it's a poultice, a balm, a salve, all the different things that we do to help a lot of the ways that these animals are trying to evolve in our modern culture.
Correct. They have heavy metals.
Yeah.
They have all the stuff that is making us sick because of our unhealthy lifestyle, diet, and the way we live. We're then transferring that. If they live with us in our household with our lifestyle, they will indeed show the effects of that if they don't get what they need to be healthy.
So it is an evolution in progress that we're watching with this.
It is. And I'm sure we'll lose some breeds by the wayside. There are breeds that were alive and flourishing at the turn of the century that are no longer with us because the popularity of them died out.
Right.
The need for that type of dog died out. There's nowhere for that in the modern times,
And it's like everything else. There's a time and place and a purpose. So understanding that if you are burning fragrant candles all the time in your home and your dog is consistently showing signs of upper respiratory or ear infections or even skin infections, that you're like, I don't know, I feed him this food and he's on the best diet and then this and this, that there are environmental factors that will permeate skin and, get into the bloodstream. So it is something that we as holistic pet groomers need to be cognizant of and be on the forefront of education and learning how we can use natural products to help alleviate this, because I don't say that it will heal anything. I don't have the power to heal. I only have the power to help. So
the dog does all the healing.
Exactly.
It's you that is providing the nourishment and the support to those organs that feeds it, nourishes it, and then the dog's body has to be willing to process correctly after that, and that's all we can hope for.
Yep. So it's it is. I've had people say to me, "Oh, I used your whatever, they bought from me a balm or whatever, or a blend, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so powerful in the way that you can put this together and it fixed this or that." And I'm like, no, it's not me. It's that the animal that you're working with, because I've used plenty of things that I've gone, this is the exact thing that's going to work. I know it. And then it doesn't work at all because their body is just not going to receive it. No matter what the delivery method is.
Right. So, and some of them have been through so many rounds of antibiotics.
Right.
So many rounds of injections and this, that, and the other to fix an issue that was so simple at the beginning. But now the immune system is trashed. It doesn't remember any longer how to process anything. The organs eventually shut down. I've had a couple of cases like that where you see a little bit of progress, but if they skip 1 week, it's over. It's over and the dog will not recover. So it is possible. And we have to be very careful at the beginning of our children's lives, the beginning of our puppies' lives, that we're not inundating them and setting them up for failure on down the road in their life by building up all the trash that we give them. The body just accumulates trash living in our modern society. And we think that we can fix everything with a pill or a shot. And sometimes it's a matter of not giving them anything that's going to be the ticket,
Well,
instead of trying to push something into their systems.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of unnecessary things. I mean, I've had dogs my entire life. I can't remember a time in my life, even from childhood, that I didn't have dogs and cats around me. So I've seen a lot of things. You know, my parents were breeders from when I was a kid. So I've seen a lot of things, and they were show people. And, you know, one of the things my vet said to me recently when we had one of my older dogs put down because she just was suffering. And my vet said, well, she was 17. That was a great life. You know, life expectancy for that breed is usually around 9-10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't know what, she's been my vet for a really long time. She's like, I don't know what you do to get your dogs to live so long. And I said, you know, it's just, to me, it's just a blessing. I do everything I can to try to keep them as healthy as possible. But I've also lost some at young ages too, because I know that I only have this much control and over those kind of things. So I'm just going to do what I can and educate myself. And that's the biggest thing, is that if you continuously educate yourself, because science changes in a blink of an eye, especially now with the technology that we have, it is insane. And make sure you're out there. And, you know, we love you guys for following us, but there are also amazing holistic veterinarians out there doing some amazing work for longevity. There are other wonderful holistic groomers out there that are teaching about things like skin and coat and training, you know, enrichment. All those pieces have to come together for a well-lived dog. So
yeah, I agree completely. And much love to the breeders who are preserving those breeds. I know that is a labor of love, and it is not about the money for you. And you are just have these beautiful, gorgeous, genetically sound dogs. I applaud all of you for your efforts. I do understand. I hope we didn't offend you today, because we do love you a lot. But we have to be realistic in our expectations of the future of what we're breeding, how we're breeding it, and is there a place for that baby, and not just for purebred breeders, for everybody who breeds dogs or anything else for consumerism.
Right.
We have to make sure there's a place for these new living beings that are coming into the world. That's all I ask. You know, be realistic about the chances of that being able to be placed and be healthy and be whole in their life. That's what we wish for.
Yep, absolutely.
So, ma'am,
we are right there, aren't we?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. We'll just get to talking. We just get to talking. Well, this has been awesome. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to message us or ask your questions underneath where it's posted. And it's okay to disagree. It's okay to not like anything we said or have a point of contention. This is about discussion. This is just as much of your discussion as it is ours. Please feel free to yell at us or congratulate us or disagree with us if you want to. Just bring a good argument and we'll talk about it. We absolutely will talk about it. We're gathering, I think this year, we're going to gather all those comments together and maybe do like a Q&A podcast
great. Yeah.
Here. So send us your questions. You know, what do you want to hear us talk about? What do you want to see? If you have questions that we can answer, send them in and we will accumulate them and we will read them probably on a live. That would be really awesome. So we love you. We miss you. We're going to see you in Pasadena in February at Groom Expo West. And may your next sip be just as delicious as your last. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.